You see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
We have a really valuable asset here in the Sewickley Valley by the name of the Cochran Hose Company, and I've invited them in to talk about what they do and also a little bit of fire safety. It's been probably a long time since I've heard somebody talk about what happens if you catch on fire or you have a fire, the different types of fires, et cetera. So I'm sure they'll touch a little bit on that. And then a little history of the Cochran Hose Company, which is an all-volunteer fire department, certified by the state of Pennsylvania. So I'm going to kind of leave that up to Jan Van Hoffen here, and also Bill Scalerico. He left his phone back at the firehouse. He'll be back in just a couple of minutes, but Jan's going to start the program. So I'll turn it over to you, Jan.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jan Van Hoffen. I'm the safety chief of the Cochran Hose Company. Now here comes Bill now. Hi, Bill. Okay, Bill had a lot on his phone he wants to present. We're going to give you a little history of the Cochran Hose Company. We're going to touch on fire safety. And I brought some so-called toys that we can show and tell. People can look at. We'll demonstrate some of the gear we put on. And anybody can look or come up to anything they want with it. Just things we brought here are not going to hurt. I'm going to start with fire safety. Who here knows how to stop, drop, and roll? Okay, how do you do it? Don't do it, just tell me.
Oh, okay.
I don't expect anybody to roll around.
Not really. Drop to the ground and roll on, try to put the fire out.
That is what everybody believes. You're close, but you're not quite there. What you do when you stop, drop, and roll, get on the ground, bring your legs together, bring your arms in, and cover your face. The covering of face is very important. We're not trying to save your face from burns. We're trying to keep you from breathing the fire of your clothes. Your clothes on fire, you can breathe it, it will kill you. So you're covering your face to prevent yourself from breathing in the fire. So it's very important, yeah, you'd have to roll. But keep all your legs and your arms tight and cover your face. Anybody here ever heard of the good air, bad air thing? Okay. We're talking in a building on fire. There's good air and there's bad air. The bad air is where the smoke is. Fires cause heat, smoke rises, the good air will be on the floor. If you're in a building that's on fire, you got to get out. You may be belly crawling, you may be on your hands and knees, you may just be able to duck walk to get out. But stay down out of that smoke. If it's heavy, you'll find air on the floor. If you're living, that air, not being smart, if people are living, that air is there. Get on the floor and get out. It's that simple. But that air will be low. We do this in the schools. And I found that a lot of adults know all what's going on, but they don't. They've heard of this stuff, but and I'm not trying to find any fault. The court knows I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to maybe help somebody who gets in a bad position sometimes. The other thing we have is you have to have a meeting place out of your side of your home. If you have a family, even if there's just two of you, you get a fire in the structure, you have to agree to meet at the mailbox out the end of the driveway, a tree, you push, but you have to know that everybody's out of the structure. So when the fire department or emergency services pull up, you can say, we're all here or we're not here, and then you'll know who was missing. That helps the fire department, especially when we hear we're all here. That makes everything change for the fire department. The fire department gets on scene and we have a possible victim in the structure. Our 100% focus is to rescue that victim. We really rarely initiate any, how can I say, not work on the fire. We don't try to put out the fire until we rescue the people, because people are the number one priority in this. So it's good to, if we happen to know that there's somebody there, all our focus is going to be to get them out. If we have enough resources, we'll start on putting the fire out also. But initially, everything goes to rescue that person that's there. I guess that's my big talk on fire safety. We don't want to get into it too deep. But the stop, drop, and roll, cover your face, good air, bad air will get you outside. Those are life-saving items there. Okay, okay, I think I told you I brought all the boys with us. You ready, Bill?
I guess so.
Okay, I'll let you start, because I know some of it, but you can go.
Okay. Thanks everybody for being here. And if I get a little nervous.
Up to your mouth.
Oh. Can you hear me now? Okay. My first mistake today, so I guess I'm good. Well, second mistake, I forgot my phone at the fire station at my car. Well, I see a few friendly faces I know. I guess I was introduced before I got here. My name is Bill Scalercio. I've been on the fire department since 1991. And I don't know if he asked for a moment of silence for George, but he was a past fire chief, and he was a member of the Sewickley Men's Club. So if we could give him a moment of silence for George Adel. He passed away last month. Okay. Before I start my talk, about history, I want to do this. Everybody here watch Jeopardy or know about Jeopardy? So I'll have one question. One question to ask you, see if you know the one that I have the answer, to see if you can know the question. The Battle of Cochran, Alexander Graham Bell first telephone patent, Heinz ketchup introduced, the Cochran Hose Company organized. So what would be the question? What is the year? What year? But what year would that be?
1876.
Correct. So you're doing pretty good. I have two more quick trivia questions. How many stars were on the flag in 1876? No. 37. Colorado joined the Union in August 1st, 1876. But per the Flag Act of 1818, stars were not officially added until the 4th of July the following year. So technically there was 37 stars on the flag in 1876, and 1877, July, the 38th star became part of the flag. One more quick question. Who won the presidential election in 1876, and by how many electoral votes?
Bye.
Right, yeah, correct. Rutherford B. Hayes, and he won by one electoral vote. And somehow there was some kind of big to-do that year, and it was sort of a really screwed up election. So it just goes to show, even in the past and even in the future, the elections sometimes don't go as perfect as we would like. Okay, go back to starting our history. So in 1874, the waterworks was finished in Sewickley. Burgess George W. Cochran, he was also a retired fireboat captain and a past councilman. He was one of the first to raise concerns for the need of a fire department. Spearheading a meeting of 37 men on April 6, 1876, in the Mozart Hall, it's like where Wolcott Park is now, is voted to organize a fire department for the town. The fire department started with nothing. Through Cochran's devotion, they were able to raise enough money for a hand-drawn hose cart and 1,000 feet of hose. They received $150 per year from the borough. Because of his devotion, it was decided to name the fire department the Cochran Hose Company. The first fire the fire department responded to was the Merriman House on Waterworks Road. Being that it was far from any fire plug, there was little that they could do. In 1878, there was a fire at the Reinhardt store. It's where the Sherwin-Williams is today. It caught fire, and that was, I'm reading from an old, they had their first opportunity, they caught fire in April 1878. They had their first opportunity to show their stuff. The store was burnt out, but it was considered a successful operation as they kept the fire from spreading to 2 other stores. So, I don't know if you guys can see in the back, but there's something going on. These guys are pulling something with a wire or something. I don't know, they're on the ground. And if you can see here, that's still the same building that's there now. And even though the fire burned out the building, they saved the 2 stores next to it, and that was a pretty good thing back in the days. The next several years, the company added more hose, bought ladders. The fire department must not have been happy with themselves. They reorganized September 2nd, 1879. They bought 2 more hose carts and 2 chemical wagons. Another public collection was started to raise money to buy a hand-drawn Cochran ladder wagon. I guess the public collection was something like we have now, the GoFundMe, you know, so that's what they used to do to raise money. The equipment was held on Division Street building. They used to call it the corn crib because it was so rickety. It's where the #1 municipal parking lot is. Later, it was moved to the old Neely blacksmith shop in the corner of Chestnut and Washington Street. And so that's what they called I guess that was the corn crib there. And this is the one of the horse wagons going to. So in 1910, when the new borough building was built, that's when the fire department moved to their present location. Okay, and we'll go up to 1985. The borough building was renovated. 3 bays were added, and that's where we've been. And they thought they would never run out of space, but right now we're getting very tight again. Last year, a new epoxy floor was finished. Earlier this year, 3 new garage doors were installed. Okay, and after a 1908 fire in Sewickley Heights at the Henry Ray Estate, it took a half hour to almost 3/4 of an hour to pull the hand carts up to the hill. Mrs. Ray donated over $1,200 to purchase a new horse-drawn fire wagon. And sometime around the same time, the department adapted one of the hand-drawn wagons to be pulled by horse, but it wasn't very efficient. The story has been passed down that there must have been borough horses, and if the horses were out collecting garbage or doing something, and they heard the fire bell ring, they would quit what they were doing and run to the fire station to get hooked up to the wagons. The horses knew, right? They were.
Yeah, they know.
This was a picture of 1909 at the opening of the bridge. You can see the fire department there with the hose wagons and the other wagon. Okay. The first motorized apparatus was in 1917. It was American La France. And in 1919, they decided to do another GoFundMe or a public subscription to fund a motorized hook and ladder truck. They raised $10,500 and bought a 1920 Seagrave. They had $500 left over, so they decided to buy the Chief, a Model T Chief's car, and that cost $465. They also must have got tired of the hand cranking 1917, and they bought an electric starter for it. A report from the fire department secretary that year said there was 14 alarms. Yes, last year the Cochran Hose Company responded to over 300 fire calls. And to see how much we've grown, in 1976, there was an average of 40 fire calls.
A week or month?
That was the whole year in 1976. So this year, last year was what, almost 300. And this year, I think we're up to like 219 fire calls.
Bill, can I interject just a second?
Yeah.
Okay, Bill's talking about the horses. We still have a couple of the collars that, went around the horse's neck, and they open at the bottom, so the horses would go on them, and you just close them around the horse, and they're ready to go. The fire wagons had a bell back in, of course, we're before electric vehicles and all that. And there was a bell mounted under the footstool, where the driver's feet went, and he pressed the button, which made the bell ring, would ring the fire bell on the hose cart or the fire wagon. We still have the bells, we still have the horse collars, and we have a couple of license plates that belong to the horses. We still have those at our station. They were selling license plates for horses back in the 1800s.
Where did you keep the horses?
They were the Burr horses. If you know our Burr building?
Yes.
Okay, if you look at from the fire department side, on the left-hand side where the Burr works are, they were kept in that area. You can still see where our fire department, there was a doorway that went through. It's been bricked in for decades, long time, but they used to have access between the two sides, and the horses were kept over there. So I guess the public works has been there since they built the building, because they were the public works horses that became fire horses when needed.
This is just a picture of one of the old hose wagon, or the hose reels. They used to pull that by hand, so you can imagine how long it took and how hard it would have been to.
Yeah.
So the next big purchase, it was in 1927, and we ordered a 1927 American LaFrance, 1,000 GPM triple combination pumper. It costs around $13,000. In today's money, it would have been around $2,225. And it was delivered by rail in April of 1928. Our new pumper in 1922 cost more than $600,000. The triple, as we call it, stayed in service until 1966, when it was sold to the fire chief. He held it until he passed away, and it was sold back to the company by his widow for $100. We had a major renovation for the triple completed in 2010. Funds we received the funds we received were from the Shuttleworth Estate and Sewickley Valley Historical Society. So we still have the triple. That was one of the wagon, I guess, that was delivered.
Yeah.
There's the two horses. And what Jan was saying, the question, if you can see the building there and the three where the windows are, that's where the stalls were for the horses, right? I guess.
I don't know.
Nowadays, today we have 3 bays. At the time they had 2 bays. And we added on to the front of the building in 1985. Ooh.
Going the wrong way.
Going the wrong way. Okay, that's the 1919 American LaFrance pumper. Some of the firefighters there. I know that the trucks now are a lot better and a lot nicer, but they were a lot prettier back in those days.
Classic.
They were classics.
Bill, did you carry water on that too, or was?
On that pump, I think it had the chemical wagon on that
I'm
one.
not sure what they had on that. The 27 carried some water. I think it had 300 gallons.
To get things going?
Yeah. That's the 1920 Seagrave. And you can see at the bottom there, that's the check they paid Seagrave Company, $10,500 for that.
That was a ladder truck only.
No-
It did
There's
not have a pump
no
on it.
pump on it. And that was used until 1940. Okay, we're getting to the in 1933, the Cochran Hose Company organized a first aid team. It was created following a fire at the Guild Hall where 3 firefighters were injured or burned. After extended training, the team received advanced training and was quoted as one of the finest the finest units of any kind in state of Pennsylvania. They put on a lot of exhibitions, and there they are at the YMCA, 1933, showing their stuff. Equipment included a smoke mask, first aid kits, a stretcher. This was actually a precursor to the quick response medical services that we offer now. Cochran Hose started that in 2006, and we work with Valley Ambulance and the Sewickley Hospital to provide first response, because sometimes the ambulance takes a while to get from Coraopolis to Sewickley, so we provide first response. We have members that are EMTs and are EMR certified. So getting on to quickly, in the late 1920s and 1930s, the Cochran Hose sponsored annual movies to raise funds for the company. In 1927, the movie Heroes of the Night was shown. In 1932, the movie Fireman Saved My Child. It looks like in 1930, if you had an extra 50 cents, you could see the movie The Aviator. So I don't know how much a movie would cost to see a movie today. I haven't been to a movie for years, but I know it would be a lot more than that. And they must have raised a lot of money. After that, the fire department used the Herald to ask for funds. And when I first started, we used to go door to door to every other year to raise money. Every 3 years. And if you'd like to support the Cochran Hose Company today, we are sending our annual fund drive pretty soon, so look for it in your mail. Should be coming soon. I was trying to find something about the flood of 1936, what the fire department did, but I couldn't really find anything. From what I was reading about it, it was mostly more in Glenfield and Hayesville and Leesdale that really got the brunt of the damage. And do you know of any stories of the fire department doing anything in the 30s, Jan?
No. The floods then probably present the same problems we have today. If, for us, in our area, it's the Ohio River that floods, and if the Ohio River's flooding your home, we can't pump the Ohio River. We can't, if you have too much water coming in, we cannot pump it out. We do not use fire pumps to pump out any home or trash or anything. They're fairly delicate. There's screens to prevent anything from going in there, but we don't want to pick up trash. We have some pumps that do that, that will help people. But if it's the Ohio River, we just can't do it. It's too much water coming in.
That's our triple.
That's the 27.
The 27 triple going to a fire in 1939. Chief Doty. The thing is too, like in those years, if there was a fire alarm, it was a fire. Nowadays, everybody has a fire alarm or a smoke detector or an alarm. There might be a false alarm. So when they had an alarm, usually it was a real fire. Okay. During World War II, with the lack of manpower, 7 high schoolers were called high school specials. They were put in service. They had permission to leave the school for an alarm. 2 of the boys in that picture became regular members, and then they made their ranks up to officers in the company, Les Abercrombie and Alan Height. So I know several regular members fought in the war, and that's why they needed the extra manpower. And that's Chief Doty, and I actually don't know the names of all the guys there. And that looked like that was on Division Street behind the fire station. Yep. Today we have a junior fire program. If you're 14 years old, you could join the fire department. And just like in the past, 2 of our juniors have become fire officers, T.J. Smith and Andrew Scalurcio. Okay, sorry, getting boring.
Before you go, Bill, go back one please. Notice the coats, the boots, and the helmets they're wearing. Helmets are aluminum. Didn't do you too good when it got hot. The boots, the toes leaked and the knees leaked because you're crawling in a fire. You wore the knee. Plus it folded when you put the boots down. They always leaked, and the coats are just made out of canvas. We had those up until late 70s probably. We were still using that kind of gear.
Was that one hat that you were using one time and it's all melted?
Mine was plastic. It melted.
It melted.
Plastic melts.
Okay, 1940, we got a new C grade, we got a new... 1940, we got a American LaFrance,
It was called the quad.
the quad. There was no pump on that?
Yeah, that was 500.
Okay,
Triple was 1,000.
and that was the fire department in 1940. And that was replaced in 1966 by an American LaFrance aerial. In 1953, we got a Mack pumper, and that was in service until 1960. That became the second pumper in 1966. And in 1991, we got a Pierce pumper, and sort of like when we come into the modern age. 1997, we got a 105-foot Pierce aerial. It's still in service today.
Question,
Yes.
when were the pipelines put in to feed the hydrants?
Or as we can figure in the 1800s it started.
Yeah, that's
There's still occasionally, very occasionally, they still find some wooden pipelines in the borough of Sewickley. I know 4 or 5 years ago, they're wondering why they couldn't shut off water from a leak at a people's house, and it was a wooden line. There's still a few around. They think there's still a few around. That's when it started, was back in there.
So they were put in before Cochran.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was,
Oh,
I believe it was 1874 when the waterworks was finished.
Yeah, they had water before.
They had
us.
water before the fire department,
I
and
don't
that's,
know how extensive it was, but yeah, they already had water.
okay. So some of the big fires in Sewickley this was the McKay Cadillac fire, and that was December 1959. And I heard that you could see the smoke, and see the flames from all the way from Ambridge. In 1970, the Sewickley Academy fires. That was a pretty big fire. Who was up on the aerial there, Jan? Would you know?
No, I was inside.
And that was the middle school that burned, pretty much
That
that?
was the only school they had back then. That was the academy. And that's the gymnasium there, had a cupola on top.
Oh, yeah.
Cupola didn't stay up after that. It came down. There was a pretty big collapse. Yeah, I was inside for most of that fire. I was part of the department then.
Okay, 1979, the old the Hagner hardware store. It's where there's a barber shop there now. The top of that burned down. Were you there for that one, Jen?
I was. I got there, Chief Herb sent me, he said, get a ladder and get up there with a hose line. They gave me a 35-foot ladder, and we used 1.5-inch hose. Before he knew it, I'm back down. He said, what are you down here for? I said, I need a bigger hose and a bigger ladder. Ladder wasn't quite high enough to go to where we needed. It was very costly for the people that owned the building.
Okay, the Dixmont State Hospital was another big fire we were involved in.
I was out there. I was working.
That was during the day, and the whole thing burned down.
The roof burned off.
The roof burned off, and I was sent with another firefighter to go in the bottom to look for maybe vagrants or trespassers, and it was wasn't scary, it was more creepy. There was water falling down, and there was all kind of crazy writings on the walls, and so it was June 2014 was the Howard Hanna fire in Sewickley. You were there for that one. even though we lost some of the buildings, we kept them a lot from spreading to other buildings, so that was more or less considered a save. And that was started by lightning. We got called to go to the Methodist church. Somebody saw the lightning strike there. And then somehow we didn't realize that the lightning jumped from there to across the street and actually went to the library too.
We eventually heard there was a witness that saw the lightning hit the church and come over and hit the Howard Hanna building and also the library. The only one that actually affected was the Howard Hanna building, and that fire wasn't discovered until there was a lot of fire, even during the daylight.
So the other biggest fire I think we've been to, and it was actually made, I think, national news, was Lurbersol fire in Leesdale.
I can't remember very well.
That was a cracking plant there or something, whatever they do.
It was chemicals.
Chemicals. And we were there for how long?
9, 10 hours.
9 or 10 hours. Sorry, I don't have pictures for most of those.
This was a 12, 14 hour fire you're looking at here.
Yeah.
Every bit of it.
I don't know, some of the crazy things that we did, wasn't there a car, accident in, I think it was 1961, that it was a cow, it was like, you can tell the story of that one, Jan.
I wasn't part of the company then, but they had a tractor trailer turnover on the boulevard down near Chestnut Street. I don't know the exact location, but in that area. And it killed some of the cattle was hauling, and a lot of them escaped. So the firemen are trying to play cowboys, chasing cattle through Sewickley. We had 2 members who both became chiefs, who are both deceased now, George Adel being one, Jack Herbst the other, if anybody knew Jack Herbst. They finally thought they got this cow, and they're carrying a rope, and they ran, and they didn't realize they both straddled a telephone pole with a rope. They didn't get the cow. I guess they banged together pretty good. That's that story.
Here's another kind of crazy call. In 1966, or 1996, the police got a report that they saw a clown on the Sewickley Bridge. He was throwing something over the bridge. I mean, remember a few years ago when everybody was seeing clowns and
Yeah.
everybody was getting scared? Well, this was sort of like a precursor to that. So they had us go to the bridge, and we were looking, and we never did find anything. And the only good thing is I got to go up on, there was a catwalk underneath the bridge. I got to go up on this catwalk, and we were looking for a clown. It was like kind of funny. And then it turned out to be, it was, I think, one of the churches. They were doing something, the kids were making a movie, and that's what it was. I know the police chief, he got mad. He said, next time you guys do anything on the bridge, please let us know first. So that's about all I have.
Okay.
And I guess I was going to mention the one thing that we were here to the subject I really hate to talk about is the deaths in the fire that we had in Sewickley. Up until last December, we had, I don't know if everybody probably knows, we had 2 children that died in the fire. I still get choked up talking about it. It was the most horrible thing I ever seen being on the fire department. Those were the first deaths since 1991. And I guess it's not been proven, or I don't know if it's still up in the air, but just pretty sure there was no smoke detectors in the house. And because of this, we are trying to make something good come out of something bad. And we come up with a program, Get Alarm program. What we'll do is we'll provide free smoke alarms, and we'll install those in the houses that people that need.
Okay, let me add to that. Cochran Hose covers Hayesville,
Sewickley.
Osborne, Sewickley, and Edgeworth. We're providing those free smoke detectors to people who need them in those districts. We will, and it's been proven many times that people come up and they were giving out free smoke detectors. People said, I want one. They give them one. They'll take it home and lay it on the dresser. They never get installed. So if we're going to be involved, we'll come install it, and we'll install more than one. We'll install smoke detectors where they need it. One in each bedroom, and then on the main floor. And we will do that at no cost for those who need it. So if you know somebody that's in a bad way that doesn't have smoke detectors, that lives in our area, they can contact the fire department. We're trying to do that for those two kids. Like, we can't think of any other way. I mean, that's tragedy beyond what I can even describe.
And even if you don't live in the Sewickley area, let us know, and we could get a hold of your fire department,
See what they can do.
what they could do for you. And we're working with the Red Cross, and they also have a program. So I guess we could put up a list here if anybody wants to, need any help with that. We'll make sure that we do that. We're going to have a blitz, was it November or May 20th? May 20th and June 3rd. We're going to have a blitz to go around to try to do them all at one time. But if you can't make it that day, we'll still come around and do it.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if any other,
No. You have what the cost of the,
Battery replacement on those should be done once a year at least, or every 6
the
months?
smoke detectors that we are handing out have a battery installed that is not replaceable. You can't take it out and put it in the kids' toys. Don't laugh, so many of them happen that way. Surprising number of them happen that way. It's a permanent battery, the detector should last you about 10 years.
Wow.
Yes,
Do you fellas still get from insurance companies when you put these fires out that are insured by different companies, you get a little check, bonus check?
no,
Huh?
no, never have that I'm aware of. If the insurance company comes and wants a fire report, I think we're charging, I'm not sure, 25 or 50 bucks for a fire report. That's our association with the insurance company.
The reason why I asked that is because I live up in Boone, and the post office thing is Coriopolis.
Right,
And what was happening when Boone would put out fires that were insured by the insurance company, they send, I don't know what kind of check is, a thank you check, saving the total loss of the building, but it would go to the Coriopolis Fire Department. And there was a lot of hell raised about that.
I've heard that, but I
Yeah.
didn't know that's where the checks came from.
Right.
We
So
work
that's
closely
why
with,
I just wondered if you
Yeah.
folks are any different on this side of the river
no, I've never heard of receiving a check from
from
the
the
insurance
insurance
company.
company.
I've never been aware of that.
Hmm.
Maybe we have the wrong insurance companies, I don't know.
I don't know. Well, that insure the buildings.
Yeah, I understand that.
Gary or Allstate or any.
No, I've never heard of it, yes.
What about the size of your volunteer force and the number of units or equipment that you have?
Okay, currently, we have a pumper, then we have an aerial truck, the 107-foot aerial, and we have a rescue. The rescue does not have a pump, and then we have a rescue engine that started life as just an engine as a pump. I'm talk fire department words, and everybody looks at me funny. Trucks carry a ladder. We don't have all trucks. We only have one truck that has a ladder on top. The engines are pumpers, as everybody knows of. The rescue engine has rescue equipment on it. It has the hydraulic tools and all the stuff needed for vehicle extrications and other types. Our rescue carries more of it, but with our rescue engine is a backup to it. The pumpers carry close to 700 gallons of water. Both are foam capable.
So what are the volunteers you have that are qualified?
I don't know how many, we're
we
close
have
to,
like, I think it's 33 right
I
now.
was gonna say in the low
When we get a
30s.
fire call, we don't get everybody there,
Yeah.
but we have 33 on the roster.
We have a few that aren't as active as we'd like, and we have, fortunately, a nice group that's very active.
And we've been getting lately a few younger guys, which is always it's always good.
Yeah. Structure fires, we tend to get more turnout than just alarms, especially in the middle of the night. Yes?
For multiple alarm fires, how is that coordinated to call in other municipalities' fire equipment?
Okay. Allegheny County started a 911 system, I'm not quite sure. It's been a number of years now. And we're dispatched by Allegheny County. So we set up what we call run cards. On that card, we'll show who we want for our first alarm or second alarm. So if we get a big fire going, we need a second alarm, the incident commander just calls county on the radio and says, give me a second alarm. and then we get what's on that card. If somebody's not available, they'll fill it with another station. The High River was a barrier between us and the departments across the river. And, oh my God, it was hardly ever we would go across the river or they would come across. That barrier's gone. We work with Coriopolis Moon, we work with Neville, we're working with everybody now.
We were actually in Coriopolis last week for a fire.
And for good structure fire.
And like we're just talking to one of the firefighters from Aleppo. They're getting a new fire engine, and they sold their old one. So right now, they don't have a fire engine in their station. So it's already set up. If they get a call, we will get toned out.
We're automatically
We're
responding.
automatically there.
So, yes, you have a question?
Typically, when a call goes out to your volunteers,
Uh-huh.
how long does it take for the volunteers to come to assemble with the truck to go to the fire? Typically, how long?
Time of day changes. More often than not, we have a rig out within 5 minutes, sometimes less, and occasionally more. But more often than not, I'd say we're out.
I mean,
within-
during the day, we have guys that work for the borough. They're on the fire department, so they're usually
out quick.
They're out pretty quick.
We're out within 5 minutes on,
Yeah.
on most calls, which is pretty good for a volunteer department. We're pretty, as far as schooling, today, if you want to be a firefighter in Sewickley, or with Cochran Hose Company, I should say, we require everybody to go to the fundamentals. It's put on by the Allegheny County at their fire academy. That's up to 190 hours that they have to go to school. And once you're done with that, you're allowed to go into, you'll have the training to go into a burning building. Also, when you're done with that, you'll have the knowledge to test on a national scale for what's called Firefighter 1. That's a nationally recognized level of what you can achieve what you can do as a firefighter. And we are requiring our new people to have Firefighter 1. We give them time to do it, but we want everybody in our department to be Firefighter 1. We have a few that have been there for a number of years that don't have it. No, we're not going to require somebody that's been there 20, 30 years or 40 years to go get to change. You know, we're not going to ask that. But in future, everybody in our department will be at least Firefighter 1.
We also have BVR, basic vehicle rescue. Some of us are EMR, emergency medical techs. And every year we have to take for the hazmat.
You have to take a hazmat test yearly. Yes, sir.
If a volunteer is,
I don't hear. I'm like all the other people here.
if a volunteer is on call, can he be dispatched from his home, or must he be physically at the fire station?
Okay. Our department has a chief and 2 assistants. They have their gear in their vehicles.
Where?
And they carry them in their personal vehicles. They have their turnout gear. They respond directly to the calls. I'm the safety chief. From me on down, everybody, our gear is in the fire station, so we go to the fire station. It's nice to have, when we put in service, we'll say how many people we have on whatever rig we're on, so that the incident commander knows has an idea what he's getting in personnel. If we put in with 2 people, 3 people, he's probably going to be calling for mutual aid, for a lot of calls. Even a brush fire is fairly manpower intensive, just to deal with a brush fire, let alone a structure fire. Now, if it's just somebody's alarm going off because there's a contractor there, 3 people on the first engine can handle that.
We have an app on our phone too. If we get a call and I cannot make it, I can put I'm unavailable, and the chief or who's ever in charge will go, not expect me.
Yeah.
And we do have 2 guys that live out of town, Sam and Lynn. So they're able to keep their gear they let them keep their gear in their car.
Sam's back in the house. He's back in the house.
Okay, Sam's back in the house. But anyhow, so they're far away. And Lynn he was a pump operator, so he would go to the fire and maybe help pump the truck. He wouldn't have to go to the station.
Yeah.
Hey, Jan, can you guys quickly go through some of your turnout equipment?
I'm going to put it on here in just a second.
Question about arson. How do you determine a fire being, caused by arson? What's the process you go through to determine that?
But sometimes it's very obvious. Not all arsonists
Or smart.
were the brightest bulb in the box, you can say it that way. Some of it's quite obvious to people that have any knowledge at all. When a fire burns, especially in a structure, it leaves very definite signs of where it started, how it started, and if those signs don't look normal, any structure fire we have now, for the most part, we call in Allegheny County fire marshals. A couple big reasons on that. Anytime a fire marshal comes in, or we as a fire department make a determination of his arson, that may well end up in court.
Right.
Okay, the Allegheny County fire marshals can show you papers of their knowledge, books of it, where we don't have books of it. We have the classes, but we don't have what they have. And they have more resources to do the testing. We don't have that. There are arson fires in our area. There have been. Hopefully there's no more, but that's back to life. But it's a very small part of the fires that we go to. Most of them are accidental. Some of them are just stupidity.
Candles are like one of the worst things.
Yeah, if you want to have an old-fashioned Christmas, don't put candles on your Christmas tree.
The one fire, I remember, somebody had a candle on the dresser, and the wind blew the curtain, that caused the fire. Somebody had 10,000 plugs into
Yeah,
the
people
light.
do a lot of, I mean, it's accidental, but it also comes, I just call it stupidity. That one with the candles on the tree was on Beaver Street, and we're coming down Beaver Street. The house set back off the road by 30 feet, anyhow, 35 feet. We could see the flames. That's how far they were blown out of the house. And it was Christmas, and fortunately, thank God, the family got out because they had all their outside, I don't forget how many were there, 12, 14 people, but they all managed to get out. Yeah, it was.
My first fire was actually an arson fire. It was my Brent's sister, but it was so easy. The guy had like toilet paper all through the house, and he was like lit, and it was like one of the easiest things that they found out.
He used toilet paper as a trailer
The trailer.
to try to take the fire from one place to the other. So anybody that's trying to burn toilet paper or paper towel understand what
He's not
we're
too,
talking
he wasn't
about.
too bright.
He was not the brightest bulb.
Why is that machine?
Oh, it's trying. It was from the fire station, and it's looking for the.
It's looking for service.
It's looking for
It's looking for Wi-Fi.
I
Let's
guess we could turn that off now. I don't even know how to turn it off. I just pulled it out of the.
We can unplug it.
We can unplug it. I think it'll still go, but it's on battery.
Just close the lid.
I think it'll still do it.
Will it?
Yeah, because it was doing it in the car coming up. Sorry if I got a little.
This room's warm. I'm gonna look like I took a bath when I get out of this stuff.
You two gentlemen are here, what do you have in the fire station?
Like I said, there's the chiefs around, the guys working the borough. Nobody actually lives into the fire station right now. We're all volunteers. So if there would be a fire call right now, our pagers or our phone would go off, and then guys go to the station. They'll be there within 3 or 4 minutes.
Do you have the requirements, how close they have to live in the area?
I believe it's either, it changed a lot. I didn't actually live in Sewickley Heights. I'm one of the slowest ones to get there. But I believe that you have to work in Sewickley, or you have to live in the Quaker Valley
Yeah, live in the Quaker Valley area.
area, meaning Leesdale, the school district. And we just got a few guys that technically not Quaker Valley, but actually it is because they live in Emsworth. And they come, they're also on the Emsworth Fire Department, so whenever they're not busy, they come here and help us too.
But they're not voting members.
But they don't vote. They're just members.
Do you still get funding from the state?
We get, what do you call it, Jan? The
2% money.
2% money from the insurance companies.
What that is, people buy, it's more the business than the homes that involves the homes. You buy fire insurance. If you buy fire insurance from an insurance company that's not headquartered in the state of Pennsylvania, that insurance company has to pay 2% of that premium back to the state of Pennsylvania, and then the state of Pennsylvania sends that to the local fire department. It works. We've seen a decrease in funds over the years come from it. I'm not sure why. Maybe more people are buying insurance in Pennsylvania, or like if you bought from Erie, we wouldn't get anything, but if you bought from Hartford, we'd get 2% of that premium. But that number has decreased.
We have contracts with the borough of Sewickley, Edinburgh Borough, Glen Osborne. We've been providing fire service with Glen Osborne since 1915. They signed a contract with us. They do it like every 5 or 10 years, right, Jimmy?
The other 5, I think they're 10 years.
Yes.
It was yearly for decades. Now, you guys are special. I haven't put one of these things on in years. I'm old, I'm fat, and I have bad knees. You don't know, I don't want to be the one being rescued out of a fire. So because of that, I haven't worn one of these for, probably going on 5 years. I spent my time, I paid my dues. I did a lot of interior fire calls over the years. Let me get Bill to help me with this.
You want to turn it on?
No. Yeah, go ahead, turn it. Get it on easy before you do that. Okay, it's in all the blocks. Where are we at?
Believe it or not, well, I had to take the test too. When we became firefighter 1, we had to do all this within a minute. So as you get older and your knees get older, it takes, that's why we love young guys. And
That's
young
why I
ladies.
haven't done it in years. I do have firefighter 1. I passed. I did it in a minute. There's not even more around this.
It's probably not even,
Don't say that. We're back to the old fat part.
You missed the truck this time.
Hey.
Now let's see if you can move.
I'm gonna have to take your thing off.
Yeah.
I have my glasses on there.
That's all right. I'll take mine off. You turned it on?
I need to turn it on, yeah. So that face piece he put on, it cost $500. He, well,
I can't lift that up.
that helmet cost around $300. This pack and the cylinder, it costs like $6,000. The gloves are around what, $100. The coat, the jacket is like almost $4,000.
Is that Nomex?
Are these a Nomex stand?
It's a composite.
It's a composite.
If you hear this, I'm not Darth Vader.
The total cost is well over $10,000 he has on.
Well,
Oh, well over that with the pack on.
according to this from last year, it's like $17,000.
Wow, how many outfits do you have?
Everybody almost everybody has one.
Everyone that's a member has turnout gear.
Yeah. Some of
Turnout
it,
gear is the coat, hat, pants, boots, gloves. Gloves are, what do you got that on there, 100 and whatever?
$100, $125.
Just above the fire gloves. You get a hood, which I didn't even put on.
The Nomex hood's like $100.
The hoods are Nomex. They're a Nomex based hood.
So you're saying every firefighter is $50,000 to get an oil rig?
Yes. Right.
You're
And
looking at almost $750,000.
a lot, yes.
Yeah, to equip your fire department.
And then after 10 years, they want you to get all new because
Once you get all new gear,
it
10
expires.
years.
Because the newer technology and.
Yeah, it's just wear it out.
Yeah.
How often you guys have to get physical?
We do not require
We don't
physicals.
require it now.
You don't require physical?
No.
You can join.
Pardon me? Yeah, you can do paperwork or whatever to help us. We have members that just do a lot, like me, myself, I'm an older guy. I'm more or less a backup guy, I like to say. If the truck's going out, I let the younger guys go on. If the second truck goes out, I'll get on that to help them do things around, the fire scene. I could actually do that, and I could do, they call it overhaul and stuff. But myself, I know I have bad knees, and I can't do a lot like I used to.
Yeah, crawling around.
Crawling around is hard. I can get down, but I have a hard time getting back up.
Does each volunteer buy his own equipment, or is that
The fire company buys it.
the fire company?
Some guys have these radio straps. If you see the younger guys, they have radio straps. And they buy some of that stuff themselves.
Thank you guys for what you do.
Well,